1970. This is WIS Awareness.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us on Awareness on this Sunday. I'm your host, Leland Pender, and today we'll be talking with an exceptional teacher here in the Columbia area who's recently won an Importance Award. We'll talk about why that's a big deal and also why it's important for people like him and other black males like him to have more of a presence in our classrooms, and why it's a really good idea to have more black males in the teaching profession. Valente Gibson is a fifth grade teacher at Jackson Creek Elementary School in Richland, 2. He earned his bachelor's degree from the University of South Carolina in elementary education with a minor in counseling education. And he's also working on a master's right now in education with a concentration in multicultural context in education. And he's recently been bestowed with the 2020 Early Career Educator of Color Leadership Award from the National Council of Teachers of English. So there is some fast facts on him, and let's bring him in this morning. Good morning, Valente. Glad to have you. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before we jump into all of that, I got to ask you off the top here. Give me your thoughts and some reaction to what we're in the middle of right now with reopening schools. Looking toward the fall, are you more of a virtual proponent at this point in time, considering what's happening with the coronavirus, or are you in favor of that in-person instruction?
I am more of a virtual opening right now, and maybe we can phase into going in-class instruction. I do think we need to consider and think about the health and safety of all people in the school. That's teachers, administrators, staff members, as well as students. And even to think about students and when they go home to their parents and to their communities of how this can spread, especially with our numbers rising in South Carolina.
And real quickly, your reaction after that most recent press conference from the governor.
I was a bit disappointed, to hear, educators in the education system being frowned upon, to look as though we may not have worked as hard as we did when it came to the last quarter of last year, because I know how hard we worked with contacting families, communities, making sure, students had lunches and making sure they had all the materials with packets. So I was a little confused and a little hurt by the comments.
Let's transition from that now to the reason why we kind of had you on the show today, talking about your honor you've earned here, the 2020 Early College Educator of Color Leadership Award from the National Council of Teachers of English. Just kind of tell us what that is and why it's a big deal to receive it.
The National Council Teachers of English, they are very open about, maintaining the culture and diversity among many teachers. And so by doing that, they have these diversity awards and recognitions that they give out. And for this particular award, it's for an early career educator in the first 5 years who will receive this award about the work that they're doing in their classroom, and also about how NCTE can help them accomplish their teaching goals and careers in both a personal and professional level.
But to receive this award, so at this point in your career, and again, it is an award for people early on in their teaching careers. Just what does that mean to you professionally to kind of have this at the beginning of your career? Like, where do you go from here?
I am honored and I am inspired by this award. I think with every award that anyone receives, that just highlighting that one person. Because I feel like with the work that I'm doing with racial and social justice, there are many other people, and like I call them the grassroots teachers, who are out here doing this work that we may not see, or they may not get the recognition that they deserve. So when I receive honors or awards like this, I make sure I want to highlight that there are a lot of people out here that's doing this work and know the importance of this work. And so for future terms, I just wanted to make sure this kind of work is expanded to all teachers.
So let's kind of talk about how and why you got this award. I got a quote here from your principal at Jackson Creek, and she says, "We're so excited that Mr. Gibson is being recognized by NCTE as an early career educator of color. He exemplifies the practices and dispositions we are cultivating at JCE by teaching in socially just and culturally relevant ways, honoring and celebrating our students and illuminating their brilliance and talent." So tell me more about the socially just and culturally relevant ways in which you're teaching, which led to you receiving this award. What does that look like in the classroom?
Well, at Jackson Creek Elementary, we really emphasize Gloria Ladson-Billings' 3 tenets of culturally relevant teaching, which is high academic achievement, cultural competence, as well as critical consciousness and socio-political awareness. And so we are making sure that educators know that we have this responsibility to confront racial injustice and ensure we create anti-racist classroom environments, but also making sure that our students succeed on the academic level. So we make sure we create classrooms that are about, our children's heritage, the wisdom, of the communities, excuse me. I'm bringing in the funds of knowledge, into the classrooms in their diverse language and cultural background.
Why is that so important right now? Is there a particular reason that's just really important at this moment in time?
Well, as we continue to see, with the death of even George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, we continue to see the injustices different systems that we have in America. And I think oftentimes we ignore it and we don't confront them, and therefore it leads to a lack of understanding. But I think as teachers, our students, they hear about it, they see it, and I think we need to create the opportunities in our classroom for them to talk about it and to know about it and to teach the real history behind it.
And how's the reception been, working with elementary age children? Do they grasp it right away? Does it take time? What does that look like?
At first, I was a little nervous about having this conversation because I myself didn't think, maybe elementary students were not ready to have these conversations. But I have to give a big shout out to one of my first year students. His name was Jordan Jeffcoat. Probably that September, so about the second month in school, he brought up a conversation about Colin Kaepernick and Rosa Parks. He began to compare and contrast the ways like Rosa Parks, protested and Colin Kaepernick, what he was doing about police brutality. And so it was then at that moment that I knew these kids were ready. We really get down to talking about these historical and contemporary issues.
Okay, we'll pause right there and take a quick break, and we'll pick it up in just a few minutes.
Okay.
I've been thinking a lot about my grandparents lately. They were the kinds of folks that if they were on their last dollar, they'd give you 50 cents and a tenfold plate of extra food to take home. We could use a lot more of that these days. Look out for your neighbor, work hard, and keep your promises, especially in Washington. Up there, people just lose their way. If elected, every day I serve South Carolina in the Senate, the spirit of my grandparents will be serving right along with me. I'm Jamie Harrison, and I approve this message.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll. Whether for yourself or someone you love, call the number on the screen now. Call now.
You've seen a lot of fights on your show.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of fights, and I hear you fight hard for your clients.
Thanks, Jerry. We do fight hard to get the justice our clients deserve.
So you've been in an accident, dial all twos now.
To get your attorney, dial all twos.
Hey, Dish Network customers, Columbia CW is now available on Channel 7 on Dish. Find the CW's new home in your channel lineup and add it to your favorites. Dare to defy with Columbia CW, now available on Dish Network Channel 7.
And welcome back this morning, talking with Valente Gibson, the 2020 Early Career Educator of Color Leadership Award recipient this year from the National Council of Teachers of English. And we were just discussing, Valente, kind of your style of teaching and your approach to the classroom, which led to you receiving this award. And you were saying how your students have come to you with questions and ideas and wanting to know more about certain things happening in our world. So it sounds like there is definitely an appetite from students, even as young as fifth grade, to know about these issues.
Yes. We definitely had to create an environment in our classroom for it to even happen. We would do something with family time where we would begin to sit in a circle, just talk about who we are, where we come from, what do we bring from our households, some things that may be some insecurities, some things we like, some things we don't like, some things we would like to talk about. And so once we were creating that environment in our classroom, that safe, positive environment, then we were able to have these conversations. And so I was very happy and pleased that my students take it very serious when we have these conversations. And there are some days when even I may lack, on a particular week, or I may forget to do a step. And they're like, oh, Mr. Gibson, today's Tuesday, today's Thursday, we need to have our Socratic seminar, right? So I'm happy that they, really has grasped on to the understanding that these conversations are needed.
So tell me, when did you decide you were going to be a teacher? When and how did that happen?
I actually decided to become a teacher in college. When I was younger, I always knew that I wanted to work with children. And in particular, I wanted to be a pediatrician. And then at one point, I said I wanted to be a nurse, but work in pediatrics. But I realized, I think based on from my education system, from where I grew up, I was exposed to a lot to the medical field, but I really wasn't exposed to the education field. But once I went home one weekend and I talked to my older sister and a few older cousins, and I really told them how much that I really wanted to go into the education field. And then, they encouraged me to do the research, to do everything about it. And my first day of class, when I went to the education, then I knew I made the right decision.
So once you knew you were going to be a teacher, at what point did you know that you were going to focus in on more about socially just methods of teaching and racial justice lessons as well?
Two main things. One was as I was going through college with University of South Carolina College of Education, they really emphasized including culture and racial and social justice throughout their entire classes in their curriculum. So I knew the importance of, exposing that to students and exposing that to kids, where I didn't want their first time to talk about race or any kind of injustice in college, because, 18 years, I knew personally for myself the things that I experienced, but there were some people who couldn't understand. So I knew I didn't want my students to have that same mindset. But also, and then whenever I went on my interview with Dr. Marcel Taylor, interviewing at Jackson Creek, she really emphasized her vision of wanting to have conversations in a classroom about this racial and social injustice, make sure we have high expectations for our students and not lowering our morale or our view upon these students. And so I knew with those two different things in college, and as well as knowing that leader that I had, that I really wanted to get down to this work.
And so with this award you've received from the National Council of English Teachers, tell me about some of the past recipients, if you can, because obviously you, along with those people, have something in common where you received this award. For you, in this case, it's your style of teaching, but what were maybe some other causes that you know of that led to other folks earning the same award?
I know a few people who I know that won this award. Whenever I start going to NCTE, I would always hear their names and always hear about their work and, their growth. They did presentations, and even a few I can name one was my professor, Dr. Eliza Braden. She won the award, and I knew the work she was doing in her classroom, especially being in her class, with literacy and with reading, and understanding about African American language, talking about even, the Hispanic culture and making sure, our Hispanic kids are open to even their home language in the schools. But also there was another teacher from Richland County. She's in Richland School District 1. Her name was Janice Baines, and where she just co-authored a book, about, culturally relevant teaching. And then there was another black male teacher who I knew from social media and listening to his podcast, Patrick Harris. And so I really love how open, their mindset was from doing this work. and being able to be a part of this professional development that went along with the award.
Right. So first of all, tell us more about what this means for you, what comes along with receiving this title and this honor, and also what it means to you to be in the company of all those people, those past recipients you were just talking about.
Yeah, I'm definitely honored to be a part of this, field with these past recipients. Like I said, they really promote equity and justice on issues of race, gender, class, and sexuality. And I really believe when you really promote and focus on practicing in your classroom, then it really leads to future liberation of your kids. And so along with this award, for the next 2 years, I will now work with, it was a teacher mentors, educator mentors, where they will help me hone in on the things that I do in my classroom and allow me to get into some leadership positions in which, I will be able to present at the NCTE conference next November in 2021 about the work that I'm doing in my classroom and future ideas that I have as well.
All right, fantastic. Okay, another quick break. We'll pause right here for a few minutes, and we'll be right back here on WIS Awareness.
You've been hurt on the job. Paychecks have stopped coming in and bills don't take care of themselves. You file an injury claim with Mr. Bossman. He sends you to their doctor, but you want to see your doctor. Is that even possible? Now the insurance company mulls over your claim thinking of ways to reduce your benefits. Finally, there's an offer. Should you take it? Is it less than you deserve? How can you be sure? Sound confusing? You bet it is. If you've been hurt on the job, just call Joy, 803-771-3100.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
With any of Life Alert's 3 emergency systems, help can be summoned immediately, and batteries never need charging.
I was having a stroke, and I was scared to death.
If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Life Alert is a lifesaver.
My husband is alive because of Life Alert.
Life Alert is the lifesaver to keep me out of assisted living.
Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-885-1965. That's 1-800-885-1965. Call now, 1-800-885-1965.
Welcome back this morning. Now, Valente, you say that you have faced some challenges in your career so far. Tell me what some of those have been and how you have found solutions to those problems, or are they still things you're trying to overcome even now?
I believe one of the main challenges that I've had to face was having to persuade educators and people that's not in education, like legislators, for example, the importance of anti-racist curriculum and adequate funding in education. And it's still a challenge that we have to face today. Sometimes we don't realize with the curriculum that we have to look at it and see who is being centered in our curriculum. Who gets to see themselves when we're reading this book, doing this read aloud, when we're doing this study about social studies, who are we leaving out? Who voices aren't being heard? Who aren't being visually, in the classroom? They're visible on your walls. And so that's been probably one of the main challenges when it comes to the curriculum, and also, like I said, with the adequate funding. We really have to give all students the opportunity. Oftentimes we talk about the achievement gap, but I don't think you can even focus on the achievement gap until you realize that we have an opportunity gap that we have within the education system.
How do you get people to notice some of that stuff that you were just talking about when you're going through stories or people featured, on the walls in classrooms? Because some of that has just been how it's been for so long. So how do you get folks to kind of take a second look at those things and realize maybe that should be different, or that should show something else, or tell more of that story?
I honestly think you have to just have a seat at the table. I think, these education, like I say, panels and groups and organizations really have to get people who know how to do this work to really let them have a seat at the table. And even if they don't let you have a seat at the table, then bring your own chair to the table where you can have these conversations to really get people to understand and to know. So we really have to understand that we can't keep moving on by ignoring it. We're not going to move any further or have any improvement by continuing to normalize it, we have to be anti-racist. In today's world, we can't just say, we're not racist. We have to be anti-racist.
Valente, in South Carolina, according to the Department of Education, there are roughly about 50,000 teachers in our state, and only about 1,500 are black men. First of all, just what is your reaction to that statistic?
We really need more black male teachers. And then when we have black male teachers in our classroom, we cannot make them the disciplinary for the school. We have to really have this understanding that representation does matter in the education system for all students. Not just for your black students, but for all students, so they all can see the representation of a black male in the classroom. But also research has shown that, there's a decrease in dropout rates when it comes to the black students, an increase in student achievement, even when it goes to higher education of going to college. So there's research out there that is showing it. And I'm also very happy and honored to be a part of a district with a superintendent who has even made that a part of the plans, in which we want to recruit more men of color into our district, so we understand the importance of it.
Yeah, talk more about that. Are there ways, or what are the ways to kind of make this profession more appealing to men of color?
I think we have to have, like I said, a representation and a showing. I think going around having conversations with other black males, but even them seen in the classroom. Oftentimes when you usually see teachers, it is heavily predominant, white females. But I think even seeing black males in the classroom lets other black males know that they can do this profession as well in the future. And that's one thing I even hope for myself as being a teacher, that some of my black boys see me and say, in the future that I want to become an educator, to do the same thing for future generations to come.
And if you can, talk about, of course it's important and desirable for young black children to see black men as teachers in the classroom and, in that positive authority figure kind of way. But if you can, what does that do for other children as well, non-black children, to see black men in this role?
Well, it allows them to see a different perception of what they may see even in the media. We can't control everything on social media, but sometimes we don't know the perceptions, or even, research also has shown that usually black males, even though they're in elementary, they're usually viewed older or deemed older, and therefore they get disciplined, more, just because, they're perceived as an older age, even at a young age. So I think to even see these black males representations in the classroom for non-black children will allow them to see a different side or a different viewpoint of what they may have inside of their head.
Tell us more about your work outside the classroom, because you're very active in it. Obviously, you're getting awards for it, but you do a lot of other things too, including currently pursuing a master's degree. Tell us more about that.
Yes, so I decided to pursue my master's degree of teaching, and it is emphasis on multicultural context and education. But also, outside the system, outside of the classroom, I'm also working with the Center for the Equity and Education of African American Students, where, we provide, professional development with Dr. Gloria Boutte, but also where we create lessons, for other teachers to really be able to emphasize and see how it can be done in the classroom, and just love to read in general. I'm a firm believer that reading is liberation, and so I really try to get myself in different aspects of reading, when it could be nonfiction, fiction, historical, contemporary. So really try to, because I wasn't a big reader growing up, so I'm really honing in on my love for reading that has happened later on.
Seems like it. Real quickly, with furthering your education, what do you hope that's going to be able to do for you and your career when it comes to your kids?
I'm really hope that I can be a stepping ladder for my kids. Even when they leave my classroom, I still keep in communication with them, for them to really understand and to know that I'll always be there for them, that it doesn't just stop when they leave my classroom. And so even with me receiving my master's, I really hope that I can really just hone in on my skills to really get to do this work on a everyday basis, but also to inspire other teachers around, my school, but not also in my school, but around the world in general, to really understand the importance of this anti-racist curriculum.
Richland 2 and Jackson Creek Elementary's Valente Gibson, the 2020 Early Career Educator of Color Leadership Award recipient from the National Council of Teachers of English. Valente, thanks so much for your time this morning, and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
This time tomorrow, where will we be?
Day trips are better than daydreams. Experience the adventure of a bigger world in a highly capable Lexus SUV. Visit your local Lexus dealer in person or online for exceptional offers at the Golden Opportunity Sales Event.
Get 0% financing on the 2020 GX460.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
No matter what you've been doing outside,
there's nothing like walking into a cool, refreshing home.
We're USA Insulation, and we fix hot homes.
Our premium foam in your walls keeps the heat and humidity out,
the cool air in,
and your electric bills low.
We make older homes feel as comfortable as brand new homes. And right now, when we foam your walls, we'll insulate your attic for free.
Stop sweating and start saving.
USA Insulation.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call the experts at creditrepair.com for your free credit evaluation and game plan to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
At creditrepair.com, dreams do happen.
Thanks to creditrepair.com, I will be able to have a better credit score and get that house.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation and game plan to help get back on the track to great credit.
Call 800-380-5076.
My thanks again to Valente Gibson for coming on and sharing with us some of his passion for teaching and some of the reasons why he was honored with that award from the National Council of English Teachers. And again, thank you, as always, for watching on this Sunday morning. That's all for now. We'll see you next time.